This is the Empty the Bench MLB Trade Deadline Special with Johnny Montalbano, Hank Indictor, Nick Fodera, and Nick Morgasen. Well, we made it to the MLB Trade Deadline Special. This is the Empty the Bench Podcast Network MLB Trade Deadline Special. And we have a lot to get to. Originally, we said we were going to go live at 5. We are here live at 4:30 just because we said we needed 2 hours to go through everything. That's Nick Fodera. That's Johnny Montalbano. I'm Nick Morgasen. Hank Indictor will be here soon. We have some other voices lurking in the background, like a bad A-Rod steroid test along the way. But just stay with us, and there'll be a lot of voices coming along the way. So, guys, we have a lot to get to. And like I said, originally we had our social media scheduling telling us, hey, 5 o'clock. Well, we're here at 4:30, and there's a reason why, right?
Well, the reason why that is because, well, everything's gone crazy, and the balance of power has been shifted in Major League Baseball tonight. So we're going to need as much time as we can spare to take you through all of it.
Yeah, so Johnny prepared a great document for us as well because he was really paying attention to the trades. I mean, so were we. If you followed us on our social media accounts at ETB Sports, and by the way, you can follow all our different shows at ETB Sports, at Game On ETB, at ETB Network. So there's a lot to get to. So, Johnny, where do we start?
Well, I tell you, and one of the reasons why we didn't actually do our regular show on Monday was on Tuesday is just because there's been so much happening that things would have changed in an instant. But I think, guys, we have to get it going here, obviously, with the biggest name that's been talked about leading up to this deadline today, and that's Juan Soto. And, you know, we all were chatting this morning as the rumblings were coming down that the Padres were actually going to be the team that seemed to be really close. And then it happened at, I believe, about noon Eastern, that we had heard that the Padres did get him. And then it took a crazy turn because one of the players that was going back in the original reported deal to the Nationals was first baseman Eric Hosmer. And Hosmer has a no trade clause. And one of those teams is to the Washington Nationals. So everybody was going crazy about that. Look, that's why the no trade clause is there for a reason. And look at Hosmer's side. Why would you want to be going from a contender to a pretender, pretty much? So, and then later on, he does get dealt to the Red Sox. This has been especially the last 48 hours has been absolutely insane. But you know what? That's what we like about the trade deadline. And I have to say, just as an on the field thing, Major League Baseball needed a 48-hour stretch like this. You know, where we are talking about on the field stuff, all these moves happening. It's been crazy. I'll say this as a Yankee fan real quick before we get into all these moves. This has been a great 48 hours. But as we get there, so starting with Soto going to the Padres, look at San Diego's side now from all of this. I mean, they get him and Josh Bell too. Let's not forget Josh Bell going there as well. And not only did the Padres get Josh Bell and Juan Soto, they basically stole him.
Yeah, we're talking about real steal from the point of, and we were having a group chat because we were going through all the trades as they were coming down the pike. I feel bad, and like you said it, and I'll say it too, I feel bad for the Washington Nationals fans who over the years, they had guys like Bryce Harper and Trey Turner and a bunch of other guys. The only one who's left is Steven Strasburg, who's walking around with his AARP card like 10 years too early. I mean, like that. This team is bad. I feel bad for Washington fans right now.
So let's go through the haul if we can that they got from
before we go there, and this is going to happen a lot. There is some breaking news. Jeurys Familia has been designated for assignment by the Phillies as well. That literally just happened. So we've seen quite a few designation for assignments as well. Odubel Herrera was also designated for assignment by Philly.
Rays.
So
and that's because the Phillies got Brandon Marsh from the Angels and also got David Robertson from the Cubs, which I think is a great move for Philadelphia, who's going for a wild card spot as well. So yes, things are going to break while we're talking. You can see us. We're going to be on our phones. We've got the TVs up. This is a multi-purpose kind of day, but that's what we like. So yeah, the Soto trade. I tell you, I mean, Fodera, you had said it. I think it shifts the power now, especially out in the West. And look at the Padres now. So they've now got Soto, Machado, Josh Bell now, and they're waiting on Fernando Tatis, who's close to a return too. I mean, those guys right there is a start. And don't forget, yesterday they got Josh Hader from the Brewers. So all of a sudden now the Padres are they're going for it too. And when Tatis comes back, I mean, it's scary what they could potentially be.
It's scary what they could potentially be, but I mean, thinking about what ultimately, because there was speculation for weeks upon weeks upon weeks about what would it take to get Juan Soto, because it's pretty obvious that man, at his age and what he's done already, he's a generational talent. He's the kind of player you build a franchise around, and the speculation was that it would take I believe the term that Jeff Passan kept using was a Herschel Walker-like deal, which was considered to be one of the biggest, hauls in terms of getting trade capital in NFL history. And what we've seen from the MLB side, I think it was 5 of their top prospects.
5 of their top prospects. So Bob Nightingale just put out a tweet just now saying the Padres have traded 5 of their top 11 prospects today. In return, they will reach the postseason for the first time in a full season since 2006, while going for their first World Series title in franchise history.
So what they've got, but they also had to give up Mackenzie Gore, who was a great pitcher, and they were going to give up Eric Hosmer, but Luke Voigt ended up being part of that deal. So you did hollow out your farm system. And to think about it from a Yankees fan perspective, I mean, I really don't think I know Cashman tried to get him, but I don't think the best he was offering was going to get Soto, because
but you know what though,
the sheer
Yankees
amount of talent that they had to give up to get him.
But wait a minute, and we'll get to the Yankees in a little bit. I think the Yankees are one of the winners at this deadline, to be fair.
In terms of the moves they've already made, but I would say that this is the Carmelo Anthony deal, but for MLB, but for Major League Baseball, because
why?
Man, you're getting a generational talent, but you're giving up a lot to get him, and now, the target is on San Diego's back. Now you have to win the division. Now you have to beat the Dodgers.
No, I agree with you. I said to you before we started, there's a giant boulder on the back of the Padres' backs. They better win the division. They better make it past the first round of the playoffs, and they better make it a few rounds in the playoffs, or those fans are going to come down and burn the stadium if you don't make it.
And lest you think I'm being a homer, the exact same situation is in place with the Yankees. Now you have to go and beat the Astros. Now is the time for both those teams to slay their respective dragons.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Now is the time.
But wait a minute. We knew the Yankee offense was a thing. We knew that. We knew coming into this year, the Yankees pitching has been better for the first time in 5 to 7 years. So we're not putting any extra pressure. We needed a pitcher. We went out and they got Frankie Montez from Oakland, which is probably one of the top pitchers that was there at the deadline, right? Besides Castillo.
He is, if Castillo is a 1A, Frankie Montas is basically he's a solid number 2. He's the guy you give the ball to in game 2 after Cole in a prospective playoff series.
Oh, in that case, yes, but I would rather have Montez over Castillo.
I mean, in terms of what Seattle gave up to get him, I mean that was
insane.
That's a bit much.
Wait a minute,
much.
Johnny, can you give me the perspective on that trade? Because that trade was insane how much they gave up.
Yeah, so in the Castillo trade you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Reds traded, the Mariners traded 2 shortstops, which were their number 1 and 3 prospects, Novelli Marte and Edwin Arroyo, along with Levi Stout, the number 5 prospect, and unranked pitcher Andrew Moore. So 3 of their top 5 prospects were dealt in that trade to get Castillo. And I'll say this, one of the things with the Montez trade real quick, and I know we're going on all different tangents here, Montez's value, I think, came down a little bit because he did have some shoulder problems earlier on in July. So if he was totally healthy and stuff, not to say that the Yankees didn't give up a lot to get him. I mean, they gave up a decent amount to get him.
Not what they would have had to give up for Castillo.
Not what they would have had to.
Agree. And also not as much as they would have been could have given up if Montes was actually healthy the full year. So that's one of the reasons why I think they've actually come out as big winners in this deadline. But
we're forgetting one thing as well. Montes is under club control. Castillo is a free agent.
That key word, that word is going to be used a lot here, especially with the Yankees, is control. They've got, he's got control. Same thing, with the Padres. And I'll push back a little bit on what you were saying about the Padres here. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them this year, but they've got now a long window. They've got a window here with at least 2.5 years of control with Soto. They've got Tatis now locked up. Machado's locked up. And now they just got it Brandon Drury, which I think is a great fit too. They gave up another top prospect, by the way, to get Brandon Drury. So they've got, they've got the pieces there. This is not just going to be a one-year thing with them. They're going to be, dangerous for quite some time now because, Soto's young, Tatis is still young. So
Machado's already been hurt this year, though.
Machado had a little bit of an ankle issue, and he's going to get up there in years too. But I mean, you're building around a great, group of guys right here. I mean,
let me ask you a question, though.
People have said real quick. People have said this is a significant, the words they were using to describe this trade: generational, significant.
All the big words you can think of.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of historic to think that somebody this young, still with 2.5 years of control before he hits free agency, gets dealt like this. And that's where, from the national side of things, you just don't get what's going on. Look at all the talent that they had now, and it's pretty much all gone. Like you had said, Morgasen, outside of Strasburg, who can't get hit, can't stay on the field.
But let me ask you a question. Same thing that you and I discussed, Johnny, about the Yankees with their situation. If they had brought Soto in there, the Padres can't afford all that. They can't. They're not going to be able to sign Soto on top of the $200-300 million contracts they already have.
But you think about it, if they go out there and win a World Series in the next 2.5 years, they may not even need. And they can't sign Soto. Then you know what? The trade was worth it.
No. I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but I'm saying they're not going to be able to sign that guy to whatever $500 million contract on top of the 200-300s they already have.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. And yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I know I took a lot of heat on social media for saying this, and I'm probably going to take it on here too, but I'll still say it too. And if you want to come at me on this, Yankee fans, at Montalbano and on Twitter, I'll gladly debate this with you.
Do it on here.
Yeah, I do it on here on our social media pages as well. Juan Soto to me was not a fit on the Yankees.
I agree.
Andrew Benintendi is a better fit. That's not saying that Juan Soto is the better player. There's no doubt about it. But in terms of fits, Benintendi's the better fit. And if you want to go harken back on one thing here with Soto, it also goes back to one player on the Yanks who we've talked about a lot, and that's Stanton. He altered so many things on this team. Whether it was I said in the offseason last year, I think they needed to trade one of those big three guys that they've had, and they've done that now with trading Gallo away. But that's the thing too. You cannot go in if you're the Yankees. The times have changed now. You're going to go in maybe paying Soto over $30 million a year. You've got possibly Stanton. You've got maybe Judge. Got
Cole. Yeah.
Donaldson is still making $23 million next season too.
Let's put it this way: the Yankees are locked into a lot of money over the next couple of years. So, as much as Yankee fans said, "Well, it's the Yankees; they'll go out and spend." First of all, let's remember something, okay? This is not George's Yankee team anymore. This is Hal's Yankee team. He's not spending the money. If George was still alive and running this team, George would have gone out and spent every single penny he had. He would have brought in Soto. He would have brought in
prospect he would have had. He would have emptied. He would have given them literally every player they have from AA and single A. Just to throw everything at him. Just to get Juan Soto. But that's not. Again, I think there was a bit of. I mean, the three of us are Yankee fans. I mean, Hank too as well when he gets here. But I think we overvalue the Yankees prospects just a little bit because
I agree.
We think these are the prospects that we hear every day as can't miss. I mean, you're gonna love it when these guys are gonna be great in New York. He could be the second coming of Derek Jeter. I've heard that about Volpe, even though I don't believe it. But just because we think highly of our own prospects and the organization doesn't mean that the rest of the league does. Because and I think that's what the disconnect was, because the Nats saw what the Yankees were offering and thought that the Padres were better in terms of young, controllable talent, because we don't have that at the big league level, because this team, as currently constituted, the 25-man roster is built to win now.
But wait a second. I think what this all stems to is back in the mid to early 2000s, the Yankees were all about having the veterans on the roster. That's all they cared about. They wanted the big names. They didn't care if they were young. And if you remember towards the middle of the 2000s, we struggled because we didn't have young players to rely on. Then we built up draft capital. And now it's going the other way, but because they didn't have it all those years, now they think every prospect they hold is like a pot of gold, taking a pot of gold away from a leprechaun.
Which is not really. I can't say that that's exactly the case, that they're shit, but they may not be the they may not be the silver bullet that will get you pretty much everything you want in the league. That the Yankees keep saying that they are. Which is not to say, by the way, that none of the crop of prospects in Dominguez and Austin Wells and Volpe and Ozzy Peraza won't pan out, because they very well could. They very well could become stars.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
You know what? There's always a chance that it could go the other way.
But wait a minute. They're treating Volpe like he's going to be the next Derek Jeter. They're treating Volpe like the next Derek Jeter. Like, you can't do this.
Need I mention Andrew Brackman?
Yeah,
supposed to be the second coming of Jesus, and then he never played a game in the majors.
Well, he got hurt. He got hurt. Yes,
these Brackman, Banuelos, and Betances. Jeez,
and only Betances made it.
Well, and Betances eventually
made it on the team, I should say.
Yeah, well, Betances was good. He was a good setup man. Then they tried to put him in a closer, and that was a whole different.
He was great. It's just, he got hurt. He got hurt, and it was like a snake bit kind of thing.
And then he was in a Met uniform.
And I think that's the reason. Yeah, I think that's why we find ourselves here today. I think Cash is trying to have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah, but wait. At the same time, if Brian Cashman did not make a major pitching move, the Yankee fans would have had his head.
Well,
yeah.
What do you mean, They would have.
No, I'm saying, because I'm thinking about it. It's like, yes, they would have.
Yankees social media would have been in a frenzy. Go ahead.
Let Johnny go.
And this year it's different, guys, because in the last few years they've gotten off to slow starts and have struggled their way down the stretch. This year, for the most part, they've had the best record in baseball throughout. There was a tremendous amount of pressure on Cashman this year because they got off to such a fast start. So that's something you have to think about. And think about even with the best record in baseball, they still were having problems. Outside of Cole, that rotation which started out so strong now was having issues. Their bullpen, which has been great, has had numerous guys get injured and miss, and they're going to be out for the rest of the season. So they had to go out there and get a reliever or two, and they got two. They got a number 2 starter now behind Cole. They've got a bat that, even though their offense has been great, they got a bat which is the kind of bat that this lineup still needs, because this lineup to me is still hit or miss, and I think Benintendi is going to help with that. So I think you got to give Cashman a lot of credit there, because he got the needs that they needed. They had 3 needs, and they addressed all of them without giving up big prime prospects.
Yeah, but here's the issue. First of all, Benintendi's got to get the vaccine, because right now he's walking that back partially, that he was going to get it, and now he's not possibly getting it. You got to get it. That's why they traded for him, knowing that, because he said he was going to get it. And I think they have 6 games left in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's only 1 3-game set at the end of September, and then you hope that when the postseason starts that they drop that thing, but we don't. That's something we don't know. See, they're not going to drop that during the season, because that would be unfair to teams that are going up there. So the people that are on right now, which by the way are not sports fans, but that's besides the point.
Go ask Kansas City if they like that rule.
Oh, Yeah.
10 guys out at the same time.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, it's really a subject for another day. But I get where you're coming from with that. But look, so far you've got to like what they've done. I applaud San Diego because they are going for it, and they've got a few-year window with this too. So I would just say maybe the one thing you would be upset about as a Yankee fan with possibly Soto, which I still don't think was realistic, was maybe they didn't have to trade, Volpe or somebody like that to get him when you think about it.
That was the rumor supposedly in the Castillo deal and from some of our insider sources down on the ground in Double-A for the Yankees, was telling me that they wanted Volpe in the Reds deal. And I would have said, are you crazy? You're not giving up Volpe for Castillo.
Which, apparently that was the line that Brian Cashman wouldn't cross.
I agree with him on that one, though. Like, if you were going after a Soto, I would have said, all right, give up Volpe. I don't care. Because at that point, if you really wanted Soto, I would say make the deal.
Or somebody like Ohtani. If Artie Moreno had not been a sniveling coward and actually had the balls to put him on the market, even though your team is actually going jack dick nowhere.
Yeah, but you don't want to lose Ohtani. That's your one marketable asset.
Which again, you dug yourselves into this hole because you have two generational talents and you've done jack dick nothing with them.
Yeah, but at the same time, Trout now has like this permanent back injury, which he's going to have to deal with the rest of his career.
Which means you played yourself for wasting all this time, and now it's going to be even harder for you to win.
Yeah, but you know what, though? That wasn't because of Trout or Ohtani. I mean, that just goes to show you, though, you need more. I mean, that's right? I mean, it's more than just those two, because look at what those two have done, and look what the team around them has done. And
stop saying Noah Syndergaard is worth the high price that you're putting out there. Stop.
That was actually reported. I don't know who had it first because again there are so many beat reporters on the scene today. It's hard to tell whose scoop comes from what.
I'm literally following. So by the way, Feinstein just reported that the Hosmer deal to the Red Sox is official now. So he's now officially a Red Sox.
I'll tell you though. So the Red Sox have been one of the weird teams in this deadline because. So they trade Vasquez to the Astros when they're playing them, by the way. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video.
On the field. As he's talking to the reporter.
Interview, he has to say.
And wait. It's even weirder because all of a sudden he gets tapped on the shoulder by the Red Sox official. It says, go in the dugout because now you have to switch sides. And the worst part, I don't know which player said it for the Red Sox, but he's like, wait a minute. He was in the hitting meetings and now he's on the other side.
JD Martinez.
Oh, is it JD? Okay. And he's another one that they're talking about. Uh-oh. I see someone just entered the room. Oh, boy. There he is.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Oh God. The Fairweather Mets fan has entered the room.
Oh,
Anthony,
no.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Go Fairweather Mets fan on me, bro.
By the way, Anthony, it's nice to be on with you when we can talk about baseball on the field instead of having to talk about all the off-field craziness. But we're gonna get to your Mets in just a moment here. But just to finish up this bit with we've been talking about the Yankees, the Padres here, and we were just starting to talk about the Red Sox.
I would love to talk about the Padres.
So since you're aboard here, so we've talked about Soto, and now they've got Brandon Drury. They just got Brandon Drury from the Reds, which I think is another great move. And they're talking about trying to trade Will Myers as well. As we've got about an hour until the trade deadline. What do you think about all these what the Padres have done here?
The Padres pulled the page out of the Atlanta book from last year. They remade their offense, but they still need some bench presence, in my opinion. They have good players, but they need the flexibility now. But seriously, I would also like to go ahead and say Tatis Jr. is coming back.
Yep.
Tatis Jr. And they said at the beginning of the year they don't want him playing shortstop, which is even better for them right now.
So where are you putting him?
Left field. Put him in the outfield. He already played outfield. You got Tatis Jr. in outfield. Got Trenton Grissom in center. Juan Soto in right. Put Brandon Drury at third. Move Machado because Kim's good, but he's not a hitter. Put Machado at shortstop. Croneswood at second, Bell at first, moved Myers to DH.
Myers might get traded, is from what I'm
I
seeing.
know, but I like his flexibility. I know he hasn't done much, but he can come around with that type of offense.
I think what
He
you're,
really can.
one of the things you brought up there, Drury sounds like he's going to be one of those versatile players that could play third, second, first, and that's the kind of player that he is too, in addition to everything else. So
The Yankees had him.
Yeah, the Yanks had him. The Mets had him last year.
You moved Profar, who's a solid pick, into the
Profar. Don't forget about Jerison Profar, who's a versatile guy too. So I like what the Padres are doing a lot here. And they got Josh Hader, which I think is another.
I'm shocked that they gave Rogers for Hader. I'm shocked that they didn't keep Rogers.
Well, you had to give up a lot to get Hader, and they gave up some major league talent in addition to some minor leaguers for him as well.
They said when they put Hader on the market, I think starting last year, they said, if you want him, you better come with a serious offer. Well, there's your serious offer.
I'm just saying Rogers, other than Hader, is one of the best this year. I'm just shocked.
Yeah, but you knew Hader was eventually going to get traded because Milwaukee's kind of like down the middle. They can't decide if they're a playoff team or what they are at this point.
They're going to stay competitive, of course, because right now, what are they, 3 games above St. Louis?
Something like that. By the way, Matt Boyd just got traded. Let's see. To the Giants?
No, the Mariners.
I mean, the Giants to the Mariners. He just got traded.
Hold on. Did you guys see and could predict that the Twins were going to go after Mary?
And they got him, yeah.
That deal was insane, the amount they gave up. 3 top 15 prospects?
Well, no. You know what's insane is that the Padres just dumped the whole entire farm system. They better win over the next 3 years.
Because that's what I said.
And, Anthony, the thing is with that, too, and, I took a lot of beef on social media for saying that he was not a great fit for the Yankees. It's a little different on the Padres because, you've got a young group. You've got him. You now got him for at least 2.5 years. You've got Tatis now locked in for a while. You still got other guys there.
Machado.
Yeah, Machado.
Yeah, so be honest, I didn't think Soto was going to go in the deadline. I thought he was going to go in the offseason.
Well, wait a minute. We didn't talk about that.
The price was too high.
Wait a minute. We didn't talk about that part of the Soto situation. That Eric Hosmer almost torpedoed the deal. Now, wait a minute. Now, let's talk about that. So we see the deal come down. Everyone is on it. They're officially reporting it. We didn't even know Hosmer was part of the deal. All we heard in the reports was that a major league player was going, and then all of a sudden Eric Hosmer's name come out. Did the Padres forget that he had a no trade clause and veto power for 10 teams?
No, they knew. It's just at that point in time, Hosmer was doing great this year just by batting average. He wasn't hitting home runs. He wasn't driving people in. He was just hitting singles. And he's a great defensive player. You put him where he could be a mentor, he may want it because, to be honest, that's what he did when he went to the Padres. I am going to mentor until the Padres are ready because they had a bunch of prospects, Trent Skinson, Tatis Jr. He saw that they had a huge farm system, and the Nationals are now going to be like that after this move.
Well, they didn't get him. He eventually went to Boston. But my point is,
it's a great move, to be honest with you.
I mean, I hate to kick a Met fan while he's down, but when Eric Hosmer, not down. I hate to kick a Mets fan, but when Eric Hosmer was playing for the Royals and they won the World Series, he was a big name in that World Series, if I'm not mistaken. So why are you trading a guy with World Series experience?
That I agree. I wouldn't have traded Eric Hosmer. My main move with Mike Myers, Will Myers. Sorry, not Mike Myers. No, I'm thinking Holler now. No, sorry. Will Myers, I would main move, or Luke Voigt, which they end up moving Luke Voigt. Luke Voigt was not made for San Diego. He has a ton of power, but he was not made for it. I already knew that from the get-go. Nationals, he's going to do some interesting things over the next few years, I think, because that park is smaller, and I think it plays to him better.
Yeah, but the Nationals, and Johnny brought it up and made an accurate point about it, the Nationals are an embarrassment as an organization.
Oh, they totally... You know what? I'm not going to toot my horn, but I'm going to toot my horn. I said after the Strasburg deal, the Scherzer deal, Pat Corbin deal, that the whole Nationals was going to shoot themselves in the foot for the longevity, and they're not going to build the farm system. They're not going on. It's happened. I said it. Corbin sucks now. They're trying to offload him.
Well, he got hurt.
The Padres didn't even take Corbin just to not give up as much.
Yeah, because and what Anthony's saying is if they would have attached Corbin to the Soto trade, they probably wouldn't have had to give up as many prospects to get him. But
I agree. And by the way, so Joel Sherman just made a good point. 60 minutes to the deadline officially now.
Yep.
Rondon, Jorge Lopez, JD Martinez, Ian Happ, Wilson Contreras, Evaldi, Merrifield from the Royals. Are they all going to get traded? Still no Tiger relief trade yet with Fulmer as well. So
I love Fulmer. So I think he's at this cusp that he has the high potential, but he's starting to get over that hump, and I think it's going to be an interesting year for the rest of the year or next year.
As we're inside of an hour here until the deadline, and it's great that Anthony's here because the one team I want to talk about here as we have an hour to go is the Mets, because it's interesting because I can see both sides to what the Mets are doing here.
I love that you brought it up.
Well, because I was listening to sports radio this morning back home in New York. Even though I live down here in South Carolina, I always listen to WFAN and everybody back home in New York.
Right.
And I think a lot of people have been overreacting to the fact that the Mets have not made a move for a quote-unquote big-time bat or a reliever. Now, we have to remember one thing here, too. The Mets are still one of the better teams in the National League right now. Are they a team that can make the playoffs with the roster they currently have constructed? I think there's no question. But the question you're going to run into now with the roster that they have is, can this team make a deep run? And you look at it right now, I think, even though the records say it is right now, I think now the Padres are better than them. I still think the Braves are better than the Mets. But I think they are a playoff team. And I think now the Phillies are going to make a push as well. So, Anthony, with an hour to go, the one thing I'd say is I'm still a little surprised the Mets haven't gotten a reliever yet. And maybe they're going to tell you that the moves that they're going to make are the ones that they don't need to trade for, whether that's DeGrom, who's coming back tonight, or Trevor May, who's close to returning. But you look at the Mets here. So they've gotten Vogel back last week. They got Naquin from Cincinnati. Yep. And today they got Darren Ruff, who they're going to tell you is that right-handed power, platoon DH.
Who they traded J.D. Davis for.
Well, J.D. Davis had no spot. J.D. Davis had no spot on this roster.
Yeah, but I'd rather have J.D. Davis than Ruff.
Let me go in, and I'm really glad that you're bringing up all these moves. This reminds me of a better 2015.
What?
Okay.
Seriously.
This team's better than 15.
The Mets traded for Uribe, Kelly Johnson, which led the team, and Cespedes was the big bat.
Yeah.
But you don't need the big bat. You have a 1 through 9. Wait a minute, Nick. Stop that and listen.
Nick's turning red.
1 through 9.
If he wasn't wearing his cans, you could see steam coming out of his ears.
They eat pitches. And they grind. It's one of those it's a different style. You don't need to hit the home run. And I think the Mets are primed to make a deep run because they.
Who's their power bat?
Everyone else.
Who's their power bat?
Again, you don't need one.
No, I'm asking you a question. Who is their guy
Alonso.
that's? Oh, please give me a break.
Just one guy, though?
Break. Who's the RBI leader?
Who gives a crap about the RBI leader?
All right, let me play devil. Let me play something here. This is an interesting point to think about. Ruff, Vogelback, and Naquin versus Davis, Dom Smith, and Janikowski. To be fair, those first three are better.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is I'm concerned that they haven't gotten a reliever. And maybe they're thinking that Trevor May is that guy when he comes back, but the piece. And I would have loved to have got, hey, look who's here. It's Hank Indictor.
Here I am, fashionably late, but don't worry. I know what happened. A lot has been going on today, and I am so excited to be joining you guys. Let's get to it.
Absolutely.
Well-
So Anthony, so those three. So to be fair, I actually think that the hitters that they've gotten are upgrades. I just would say that I think they still need a bullpen piece between now and the next hour. But the thing they've also got to is they've got a manager, a legitimate manager, the first one since Terry Collins. So I do trust them in that regard. And this team, the way it's built right now is, they've gotten them to 28 games or whatever it is over 500. So maybe they think they don't need to mess with it.
So I'm going to go both ways on this. So
Sure.
you got the manager. The manager put together a coaching staff that preaches fundamentals, aggressive patience. I say aggressive patience because you're either going to eat like 5 pitches at a bat, or pitcher's going to come in your zone and you're going to smack the hell out of it and put yourself in scoring position. One or the other, you will bring in a veteran group that have playoff experience. Marte, Kahana, Escobar all have playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
Alonso had some experience. Like these guys are now priming at this point. Alonso didn't have this experience, but yeah, priming. Now Ruff, not my favorite, but he's doing very solid. JD's not getting enough at bats, because and he's young. I love JD, but Rupp is that low piece. Vogelbeck has been consistent, and he's more of a bench piece. And these are gonna plug up those weaker bench holes for the younger guys. Now Janskowski, I'm upset about because I love that defense and speed that he brought, but Kyle Edquin is a better hitting Janskowski that has a very similar style. So I can't be angry about that. Do I want Soto? I would love Soto, but then what are you
giving up? What are you giving up in the Mets organization?
That's my thing. I won't give up what the Padres gave up.
Would you have given up the top? Would you have given up the top prospect catcher for Soto?
No.
Well, then you're not getting him. Then
I will give up Nani Marchesio, and Beatty.
They wanted the top catching prospect, though.
Well, I wouldn't have gave up the catcher. No, that's my thing. But it wasn't only catcher they were aiming for. They were aiming for 5 of the top 10. So I would probably give 3 of the top 10.
You would have been talking about those guys, and I hate to say, you would have been talking about Jeff McNeil and Dom Smith.
Yep.
And Jeff McNeil.
I wouldn't give up McNeil for a thing, especially the way he's playing this year.
Absolutely.
Gamore, the way he's playing this year, I wouldn't give him up. I called Escobar always a bench piece. He kind of lost something, but he's a veteran presence that will play hard, and he's the same type of approach.
All right, hold that thought for a second. So more breaking news is coming in. Excuse me, as Tom Obama is doing our social media behind the scenes. According to Robert Murray, there's a chance Wilson Contreras stays with the Cubs. They may try to re-sign him or extend a qualifying offer to try and obtain a draft pick.
Well, I see that because the Cubs are putting up a similar request to Soto. The problem is Soto has 2 more years of on his rookie contract, 2 more years of under team control, and the rest of this year, so 2.5. And Contreras is a rental player. Yes, Contreras is having a monster batting year, but
by the way, Anthony, you're getting destroyed in the comments saying you wouldn't give up a catcher for Soto.
I wouldn't give up Alvarez for Soto. No, because I know in 2 years, I will give up Marchesio, shortstop. If you have a catching duo like they just drafted Parada and Alvarez, that's the hardest position to keep. I'd rather keep them.
I don't know. Hank, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't think you want to take that risk, especially because you knew going in that James McCann was going to probably be a bridge catcher, if anything. And don't you want to have that young guy ready for next year? I mean, look, it would be great for you guys if you had Soto. I think if you ended up getting Juan Soto on your roster, assuming that Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom are completely healthy, then I would say maybe you pull the trigger. But I don't think you have enough in the farm.
And,
to
and,
do
and,
that.
and it's not like
yes,
the,
we're
and it's
still
not like the
rebuilding
Mets
the
can't
farm.
win.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Who was talking?
Yeah, go.
No, he
Yeah, go
was.
ahead,
He
Anthony.
was.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, yes, I agree. We're still rebuilding the farm, so I would give up low, or like more on position because we are better in the infield positions, but then I wouldn't on anything else. But yeah, we're not that strong in the farm system. We'll probably throw more money, which is the better way. And to be honest, I like these showing up to have a complete rounded team like they're having now with the matchups beyond belief. Like they can play matchups for the rest of the year, and that's the strategy of the game. And you're going with the number one most detailed manager that the game's seen.
Did you just say the number one most detailed manager in baseball?
Literally, everyone comments how detailed throughout every organization that Buck Showalter is. Which is why I led him to every year that he's with the team, every first year with a team, he was manager of the year.
And he's the manager of to me in the National League.
I mean, yeah. To be honest with you, he's done a great job. It's not that the Mets can't win. It's not that they can't. It's just you didn't make the obvious improvements that you should have made. So therefore, if help is not going to come from without, it better come from within.
But see, that's my question: is did they act? And this is what I was trying to get at. Did they really desperately need to go get another guy like that? I mean, the way that they're situated right now, I think in the bullpen they did need to do that. But the way that their lineup is constructed and stuff, would it have been nice to get a power bat? And I said on my show that I think they did need to get a power bat. But the way that they're constructed right now, I mean, they were having old school games these last couple of days against the Marlins where they bashed out 19 hits. 13 hits against the Nationals. They beat up on maybe the National League Cy Young Award winner this year over the weekend in Sandy Alcantara. So maybe they could play that kind of game, the station-to-station game.
And that's what. But not only station to station, you're playing doubles game. I think you don't need to. Go over. And I think the home run ball is being overplayed lately. And these are the teams that are going to win. Is the teams that are more rounded. If you look at the last few World Series, if you take the winners, the stats overall the whole season, they are the most in stolen bases. They're the most in doubles. They're up in home runs. They're in the top 3 of home runs, but the most in doubles, the most in stolen bases, and the most in singles.
Actually, the team that has the best pitching is the one that wins the World Series.
My point about hitting, though, the home run, you need to score. And the home run ball, hitting a bunch of solo home runs, is not. I don't think that's why the Phillies are flaunting.
Well,
they have no defense, and all they do is solo.
I don't know.
I mean, well, I mean, the Phillies are gonna they're gonna just third place is what they can is the best they can hope for this year at least.
Well, the place just because the Marlins aren't doing much in the Nationals, but if the Marlins and Nationals were at least solid enough, the Phillies would be lower.
Oh, give me a break. I mean, my point is the Mets need help. The Mets needed the bat. They did not get one. And don't tell me Ruff is a bat.
They don't need.
He is technically a bat.
He's going to be
finish rounding out.
He's going to be that right-handed power guy that they were looking for.
Well, let's move around the league.
We're looking to round out the matchups.
Well, let's move around the league a little bit here. So John Heyman just came out with a report as well. The Phillies were in touch on Carlos Rendon, and this goes back to, I don't know if it was either Johnny or Nick who said it before, but apparently the word is the price is too high.
So I guess
Simon doing to a great contract.
So if I had to guess, I'd say the Giants are kind of in the same spot that the Red Sox are. In that you're kind of selling, but you're kind of not, and you kind of believe you can compete, but you kind of can't. So it's confusing, is what it is.
So yeah, Giants are just out of it. But my thing is about Rodon is that you gave him a decent contract. and you are basically saying this is it. Your team's not doing as hot this year, so maybe it's time to get some pieces back. That's fine, but the price is too high.
Well,
Tell me, what bomb system does the Phillies have anymore?
None. Zero.
So, the price is too high is because you're going to have to give a handful of your bench players.
Well, it has nothing to do with that.
Will have a good, or that will could become really good major league players. Which, by the way, that's your only defensive options. Now you're going to ruin your late inning defense for a pitcher who, if you can't hold the runs down, why would you get a big bomb pitcher like that?
Well, first of all, the Phillies are a train wreck to nowhere right now. Their offense is struggling. Their pitching is not doing well. They're playing at a big ballpark, not scoring the runs that you usually score in Philadelphia.
I don't know what you're talking about, big ballpark.
Philadelphia?
No,
That's a sandbox,
Philadelphia is a bandbox.
Well, you know what I meant. I'm talking about where they can hit the ball out. But my point is, Hank, well, you've been to Philadelphia. I've been in that ballpark. Are you surprised?
Ballpark, but I've been in Philadelphia.
Right. But are you surprised that Philly offense is not hitting in that ballpark?
Very much so.
Yes, very much so.
It's
No,
bizarre.
I agree that the Philly offense is horrid right now, but to be honest, if you take that offense, that style, it's fine. You can score a lot of runs eventually and go into these hot streaks. But if you can't hold the other team down because you can't play the ball in the field, how the hell are you supposed to win?
All right, but it's not all about defense. Anthony,
No, it's not. But you can score 14 runs, but if you give up 16,
first of all, if you are scoring 14, you're most likely not giving up 16.
So,
point.
but here's the thing I'd say about the Phillies, and that was when we were talking about them at the start of the year, and I know we did our baseball preview show here. One of the things we said was they had a very powerful lineup. Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos,
Real Muto. Yeah.
And even without Harper, they've won 5 in a row. They are in the wild card position, and Harper's on his way back. So, and they got David Robertson to help shore up the bullpen. So I think the Phillies are definitely going to make a push, and they're going to be in it through at least for the wild card spot for the rest of the season. So I get what they're going at here.
I'm going to throw an interesting thought out at everybody. I want to hear everyone's opinion about this.
Yeah.
So between Harper and Trout, who would you say is the more bust right now?
Bust is a strong word to use because bust means that they never live up to their potential. But the best
Harper's contract, he's not living up to it at all.
One person does not a World Series champion make.
I'm going to go ahead and say Harper just because he is literally bad season, solid season, amazing season, bad season. He's to me, I looked at Harper and I always see this because he has the potential. Well, at least Trout, when he's somewhat healthy, he's even just a little bit healthy, he lives up to still being able to hit, still being able to steal. The guy's good.
I don't know, Hank.
Other than Soto right now.
Hank, I'm curious to hear your opinion on those two guys.
No, I don't really like to associate that with those two with the word bust. I mean, both of them are extremely talented players. I guess if you ask me that question, gun to my head, I'd probably say Bryce Harper. But I mean, at the end of the day, no.
Well, or would you say which one is having more struggles? Would that make it a little more of an interesting question then?
Yes, then I'd say Bryce Harper because I think his defense isn't quite as good as, say, Mike Trout, and I've seen moments where his batting average has been kind of up and down.
Here's the tough thing with that. Mike Trout is the better player of the two, but he's also been more injured than Harper. So that's where you have to factor in right now.
Well, you have the permanent back injury or whatever he's got to deal with for the rest of his career.
And that's what I was just going to get at. So this story that broke in the last week regarding Trout is very, very alarming. And again, actually in that regard, Harper is healthier. But I mean, if you're trying to start a team and you have to pick one of those players, Trout's the better player. So but right now it's tough to say because they're both hurt. So, and Harper is on his way back, and he might be a push as well. So it's very tough. But if I have to go with one player to like have a team or something like that, I mean, I'm taking Trout. The thing is, we don't talk about him enough because he's out there on the West Coast, and we all know about baseball's history with trying to market their players. So it's a good question. It's a tough sell, but
it's a good point. Now, there's 2 reports out of Boston as we speak right now. Okay. So the first one is from Julian McWilliams, and he is a writer for the Boston Globe. Interesting report. We've been talking about Xander Bogaerts a lot coming out of Boston. So Julian just wrote, Bogaerts said he questions the direction of the organization with the Vasquez move, said there were pieces leaving the organization, but none coming in. So that's part 1. What do we think about that?
Well, you got Eric Hosmer. That's not nothing.
Well, see, that's what I was saying earlier on in the show. The Red Sox, to me, are one of those weird teams in this deadline because I don't know if they're rebuilding. You know what I feel like they're doing, and I kind of equate it to almost like what the Seahawks were doing in the NFL. I don't know if they're rebuilding or the fact that they're just rebranding almost because, they trade because we don't know if JD Martinez is going to get dealt with in the next 40 minutes or so.
I think he will.
Yeah, I mean,
I go ahead and I say, can I answer with both? I think they're trying to toe the line of staying competitive, but not really.
They're 13 out.
So instead of half-assing 2 things.
Anthony's right. They're 3 out of the wild card. But so are the Orioles and so are the Guardians.
So my point is like they're trying to stay to do, but not go all the way in where they're going damage. Now, Xander Bogaerts said, nothing's really coming in, but if I remember, that Boston actually has a pretty solid minor league system, and the rookies that in AAA might be ready to come up for the next year. So they're probably just kind of seeing how that plays out.
Right.
Here's the thing. So it's pretty obvious that Bogaerts isn't coming back, right? It's pretty obvious that Rafael Devers isn't coming back because if they weren't going to pay him his money now, they're definitely not going to pay him in the offseason. So, but you're right to that extent, Johnny. It's like it seems to me like they're half-assing 2 things instead of doing one thing well. It's like commit to what you are.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Devers wanted $300 million.
I know that.
You're not giving Devers $300 million.
He's your Aaron Judge, though. So what are you gonna do?
You're not
good.
First of all,
good.
Hold on, timeout. We've seen $300 million contracts do what over the last couple of years?
I mean, they backfired mostly, but again, that's why I'm saying that they're not going to pay him, but somebody will.
I agree with Nick above me. Then when someone's going to pay him, I agree with you, Nick, that $300 million doesn't do anything for anyone with ridiculous years. But I hate to say it, you want to sign a young, high value player like Devers, you break out the checkbook and you pay him $300 million.
You're not paying him that. Devers is not anywhere worth $300 million. Like that's like when the Rangers gave Seager $300 million plus. Not worth it.
Again, I didn't agree with anything that's over 300 and anything that is over 15 years. But guess what? Someone's going to do it.
Desperate team.
I got 2 bits of breaking news here, but I want to get Hank in first, and then
go ahead.
Yeah, no. Sorry, what was the whole thing about? I was trying to post my video on Review and Preview.
But
I've literally been running on all cylinders
the
today.
Red Sox direction.
This is where the Red Sox are going.
The other thing too in Boston is their pitching has been so bad that you got to shore that up first before you can go anywhere else.
They even beat the Astros yesterday.
That's baseball. It can happen.
That's baseball, Susan.
That's right. Hey, look, even on a good day, you know what? Even this year, the Yanks are going to lose 50 or 60 times this year. So the two bits of breaking news that I've got here from John Heyman, Trevor Rosenthal is being dealt from the Giants to the Brewers. So the Brewers got a bullpen piece. And Noah Syndergaard is down to two finalists, according to Morosi, the Blue Jays and the Phillies.
The Blue Jays. That's the other thing we haven't talked about, because again, everybody was always saying, "Oh, what are the Blue Jays going to do?" Because they've underwhelmed to this point in the season, and now it seems like they're kind of scrambling to pay the phenomenal asking price that Los Angeles is apparently setting for them. And do they even have the farm system to pull it off?
No, they don't.
I agree. They don't, and yeah, they're scrambling because they're at a point where they have under control two of the best rookies, and Bichette and Vladdy, and you got George Springer, as well as Cook is having an amazing year. It's a good year to go for it, and Syndergaard to them will be good. What is Syndergaard going to do with the Phillies? He'll do well, but with that fastball is going to leave the park a lot faster.
Yeah, he's gonna.
It's not going to be good.
Wait a minute.
He's gonna get shelled a couple starts, and then they're gonna be calling for his head.
He's not the 100-mile-an-hour fastball pitcher that he is with the Mets anymore. Can we stop? Artie Moreno needs to get a new brain and put it in his head, because he keeps overvaluing every player that's on his roster.
Considering his success with free agencies, he'd probably get the wrong brain and put it in his head.
Well, go ask him about the Albert Pujols contract and when he had to eat the last 3 years of it.
Listen, he overvalues names.
No kidding.
He goes by the name. He does, and on today's most successful organizations don't go by the name. They go by the name that's still hot. What they'll do is they'll build on a base for him around them of no names, and they do great.
Yeah, tell me a no name on that roster that's doing well this year.
Walsh.
Didn't he just get traded?
No, Moss just got traded.
Yeah, they got a Jared Walsh and a Brandon Marsh.
Oh god, I can't keep track anymore. The Angels are a nobody team right now. I can't even keep track.
So we got about a half hour to go here until the deadline's up. But remember, we'll hear maybe some moves that are being made after this deadline. I'll tell you what I want to do here real quick before we find out what happened. Hank's also a big Yankee fan. Hank, all these moves that have happened happened for the Yanks, whether it was last week getting Benintendi, which I know you and I spoke about a lot on our show, how much I like that move. Also getting Efros from the Cubs, I think very underrated. I like that move a lot. The Montes trade I like a lot as well. So all these players, and of course they get Lou Trevino. And I'll tell you this, I think the big reason why they got Lou Trevino is because they are setting themselves up for against the Astros in the ALCS. Trevino's got great numbers against some of the Astro hitters. So, and then even being able to trade Joey Gallo and get the number 15 prospect from the Dodgers for Joey Gallo. I have to say, I think Brian Cashman and the Yanks, I think they've been one of the winners of this deadline so far. But you as well, being a Yankee fan like most of us, what do you think about what they've done?
Oh, I would say they definitely did an excellent job at the trade deadline. I mean, first off, getting Andrew Benintendi for a bag of chips. Need I say more?
Yeah.
I'll take that. And then you get, not only do you get a closer who has good numbers against the Astros, you look at Frankie Montas' numbers against the Astros, they're not necessarily mind-blowingly good, but they're solid, and, he's pitched against them, too. That's another thing we don't really think about when talking about those acquisitions. And I can't believe they were able to have a successful trade deadline without having to get rid of the Volpes, the Perazzas, or the Dominguezes. That was a win in of itself. And then, have you guys seen any of the highlights of Efros with the Cubs?
Oh, the side armor, right?
That slider is just wicked.
But we're forgetting club control to 2028.
Yes.
That's big. They were saying during this deadline that a lot of the moves were focused around control. That was a big thing. That was big, and they didn't give up a lot for it.
No, they didn't. That's a win.
It's a huge win.
And you know what? There's one other thing I got to mention. I don't know why you say goodbye. Gallo, I say goodbye. Sorry to alter that Beatles song.
You know what? Let me just be the first to put it on the record. I feel terrible for Joey Gallo because
I don't.
I do too.
Yeah, I know you don't, Nick, because you don't see players as people. You see them as cattle.
Wait, whoa.
You have you have no empathy when.
What do you?
When
The guy did not hit. If he can't hit, he can't be here.
Yes, but these guys are still human.
I didn't. First of all, I hope that he does well in the Dodger uniform. He's going to a team that's probably going to make it a World Series run this year.
I hope he turns it around. But you know what? It's hard not to feel bad because the guy did try. It's just he just wasn't a good fit from the get-go. It's pretty obvious at that point.
He was a perfect fit last year.
No, he wasn't.
You kept expecting him to go on a run like Rizzo did, but it just never came.
Aaron Judge has more home run hits than Joey Gallo has for the season.
I understand that. I'm not arguing with the results. I'm just saying, people are the fans are just so willing to kick the man in the ass when it's pretty obvious he's going through.
Nick, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Wait. Time out. Nick, you've been kicking him every episode on Empty the Bench.
But I didn't say he. I said he will do better somewhere else.
But Nick, don't say that
he's a bum. He has to go. He's a bum. I'd like it if he got into a car crash.
I didn't say that either.
Some of the people have been saying about him.
Well, I haven't said any of that stuff.
No, you haven't. But you know what? Would it kill you to display just a little bit of empathy? Because the man clearly wanted to be here, but it didn't work out.
First of all, when he got into it with the media about his changing habits in the locker room when that story came out, he was wrong. First of all, for snapping back at the New York media. What do you think was going to happen when he did that?
It's just like I said, it was just a bad fit. He's not that guy, and I just hope that he can find a spot on the Dodgers and be happy.
At least he didn't Randy Johnson himself to a camera, man.
Yeah, at least he didn't assault a reporter or say that's a clown question, bro. I mean, it's just we sometimes forget that these guys are actual humans playing this game.
No, I agree with you.
No one is going to be like Derek Jeter when it comes to the media.
I don't agree with that.
No one. I mean,
well, you're going to tell me that more Jeter styles to the media? No one's going to be like that.
First of all, more players have media training than ever before.
That's true.
It's better but considering the haul what they got for Joey Gallo, I think it's better than at least I could have expected but that's ultimately what we should take away from what the Yankees did for this deadline, where they had needs and they filled them quite as best they could.
And by the way, are we all surprised? We're not even looking at this in the Gallo trade. You got a 15th overall prospect from the Dodgers?
He has struggled a bit. So
but you fleeced the Dodgers for Joey Gallo.
Wait a minute. But you're forgetting Gallo's actually very good defensively. He does have massive power.
He is very good defensively.
The thing is,
bringing that up, Anthony.
Yeah, you take him and you put him into another heavy protected order, knowing that we're a guy that is having a similar bad year in Bellinger, and you can go ahead and try to play the hotter swing.
Yeah,
ride the hot hand.
Anthony, the only thing I'll say, and this is, if Gallo didn't get traded, his only role in the Yanks would have been a defensive replacement, and I think for the most part, that's probably what he's going to be out there in LA. So,
wait a minute.
But
go ahead.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing too. And first of all, a couple of things. Number one, can you imagine if Gallo was actually making $20 million this year?
Oh God!
You think? I mean, I know he's making 10 in arbitration, but if he was making $20 million, you think fans were bad now?
Well,
Oh no.
the Yankee fans would have his head 10 times worse than they would now.
I've been posting that on social media. I said, you think he's making $20 to $30 million this year based on how that is. But Gallo was, that's what he was when he came over here. He was a guy that was an all or nothing player. And for a team that's got guys like that, that's part of the problem. It's not even that was part of my concern with this lineup, is because they've had guys that have been, all or nothing and still are in some ways.
So I have some interesting Yankee breaking news that just came in right now.
Oh,
so John Heyman just said the Yankees.
You, Nick?
No, the Yankees have been in talks with the Marlins about Pablo Lopez.
Okay, so that's a name that's been floated around. One of the reasons why he hasn't been moved is supposedly the asking price is too high. And I'm going to give you, let me see if I still have it here, because somebody had posted an interesting stat about the Yankee rotation in the last 50 games. But look, if you can go out there and get another starting pitcher, go do it.
Well, Heyman is saying it's going to be prospects if it's a deal.
It's the Marlins. So that would make
you got to pay up.
Well, I said I wasn't going to rile up Nick, but I'm going to do it anyway just because it's my spectator sport.
No, it's okay. Rile me up.
Oh,
go ahead.
Darn. That would be nice on the Yanks,
but I'm going to say this now. Nestor Cortez does not look as good as he did in the first half.
Mm-hmm. Again, because I'm not on principle, I'm not disagreeing with you, but we disagree on the reason. Because I think the reason is that he's kind of hit a wall because he's never done this before.
Okay,
it's never been asked of him.
Or actually, baseball has scouting technology, and they can figure out how he pitches.
And that's
right. Well, that too. But listen, like Walker on the Mets last year, it was the most amount of innings that he pitched ever in Major League Baseball. And he was healthy, and he hit a wall. And it was very hard to continue. And I get it. And now this year, Walker could go the distance. You got a guy that was in the bullpen last year, come to the starting rotation, doing very well, starting to hit that innings type of deal because minor leagues don't play as many games. So,
go ahead. I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think both Knicks are right. I think guys are both saying stuff that I agree with, and this is something else I've mentioned with Hank too. Cortez is entering a territory that he's never done before. He's never made 30 starts in a year before. He's never logged 100 innings in a season before, and he's already done that. So if you go out there and get another rotation piece, to get behind the other guys, because now we know Severino's going to be out till at least September because they transferred him over to the 60-day IL. So
which apparently he's pissed off about.
Well, it's not his choice.
I think it's not only just the injury. I think it's also roster moves because they bring it because of the other moves that they've made. By the way, trade that just happened. And this was a guy that I would have wanted on the Yankees, and it just happened. Brett Phillips just went to the Orioles, and I'll tell you, I would have liked him on the Yanks. Let the guy defend, maybe a pinch runner or maybe fourth outfielder, would have been a depth piece.
Talk about a guy who has 9 lives and keeps finding a team to play on.
Yeah, but he always seemed to get the great hit against the Yankees. But imagine once he joined the Yankees, he just somehow forgot how to hit.
Well, I don't think his role would have been a little bit different on the Yanks, but it still would have been the kind of guy that you would like to have had on the team. Clubhouse friendly guy. You've heard nothing but great stories about him down in Tampa, and when he got DFA'd the other day, that was a bit of a shock to, I think, the baseball fan and the Ray fan too.
I mean,
I think that's really because they need to start making room for some of their surprise moves. I'm shocked that they got even David Peralta. I'm shocked that they actually went for it. And Siri. I mean, Siri's more of the style of a Tampa, but I'm kind of shocked that they went for it.
I mean, just the fact that the Yankees are making or we're even having conversations about Pablo Lopez about 20 minutes and change from the deadline. It's pretty obvious that the Yankees believe that their pitchers are starting to run out of gas.
That's what I said, and you barked at me when I said that.
No. It's not out of gas, meaning that they're tired.
Right. You barked at me when I said that he had a record amount of innings, and I said it's not going to be a good second half.
Which again, I think the Yankees are trying to head off. That's what these moves are.
And by the way, everyone who's saying 6-man rotation, the Yankees have not figured out how to do a 6-man rotation.
Very few teams can do it.
Only a handful. But by the way, I'm looking at MLB trade rumors, and it looks like not only the Yankees are in on Pablo Lopez, but also the Dodgers.
Well, and Tom Albano, who's doing all the social media behind the scenes, he's getting ready to premiere another show, which we'll talk about at the end. He just said, my thoughts, Domingo Germán will be demoted. He still has options. That I agree with.
That you might need to do because again, he hasn't done very well. I'm surprised that Andujar is still on this team. I'm surprised that
he's going to get traded. I think in the next 20 minutes. If they don't trade him, that is the biggest fail of all time, considering he's a free agent.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to lose him for nothing.
Can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to take Andujar. I don't think he's a starter on a contending team right now. I think
that's exactly it. He said that he's shown that he can hit AAA pitching, but can you hit Major League pitching?
And it's really
always been the thing with him.
And let's be honest, I mean, it's very unfortunate what has happened to Andujar because you can make the case that he probably should have won Rookie of the Year when he did, and then the following year he gets hurt the first week of the season. They go out there and bring in
Gio.
Was that?
Gio
Urshela. Yeah, I'm sorry. My brain just was
I miss him.
I know that.
Yeah, so I mean, they get Urshela comes in out of nowhere and blossoms, and Andujar just doesn't have a spot on the roster. And now he's been hurt, and then they try putting him out in the outfield, and that doesn't pan out. So it's unfortunate what's happened to him. But the fact that he hasn't really played now in the last couple of years makes me think that where is he? I mean, if he goes to a contending team or something like that, does he really have a spot somewhere?
Well, Hank, I want to hear more what you think about the Yankee organization as a whole. You've had a lot of opinions about Andujar and some of the guys down in the minor league organization. What do you make of the Andujar situation?
I personally think that Andujar should have been traded maybe a few years ago in a deal that could have lifted them over the top for a pitcher, but yeah, I'm hoping we can find a way to use him as a good trading piece. And it's a shame that I'm saying this too, because I liked Miggy. Remember, he was wasn't he the AL doubles leader?
Yeah, he was the king of two bags. He was Miggy two bags.
And by the way,
yes, that's exactly what he was.
And as many times as I fought with fans and Nick and Tom and I when we did our show, Andujar should have been the Rookie of the Year, not Shohei.
And you got roasted for that when we had the.
I don't give a crap.
I was on that one. I still defend Shohei.
Andujar was the better offensive player that year than Shohei.
I think they were distracted by the bright shiny object that was Shohei Ohtani at that point. But
it's an wait a minute.
Neither here nor there.
It's an unfair fight because he's a two-way player.
Exactly.
Well, you're going to tell me that Justin Verlander shouldn't have won MVP?
He shouldn't have. He's a pitcher. They have a category for it.
Well, guess what? He was the best player in all Major League Baseball. He deserved it.
And what's the Best Pitcher of the Year award called? Cy Young.
Yeah, but he was better than just a Cy Young that year.
Oh, give me a break. By the way, so Tom is chiming in also. Apparently, according to Mark Feinstein, the Dodgers are not in on Lopez. And then he also said, could it be a Andujar in a Pablo Lopez deal?
Well, there's a good post that the MLB Pipeline tweeted out about the Yankees' top prospects. If you're looking at who they have to move in a deal for Lopez, obviously we know about the top guys. Volpe, Peraza, Dominguez, Wells, Trey Sweeney. But yeah, just in case they were looking down that road, we'll find out here. We got, as we head down
15 minutes. Yeah.
15 minutes. And then, there are going to be some moves that are going to get announced after the 6 o'clock top of the hour.
Can I say one more thing though? Can I say one more thing? So Joel Sherman just put out a tweet, interestingly, about the Yankee situation with Severino. So he just said, Yankees have had fear about how Severino returns. If Talion or Cortez run out of gas as innings pitch build, Lopez was one reason they got other work done yesterday. To pursue something like this, plus lots of people still in Marlins organization who worked for the Yankees and now the prospects firsthand.
That's an interesting point, and that's what I said on my show last week, that even though the Yankees are the best record in baseball, you saw these last couple of weeks.
You saw the cracks. You saw the
you
cracks.
saw some cracks, and one of the cracks is the rotation, because you had guys, and we've said it already. Cortez doing stuff he hasn't done. Severino hasn't pitched a full season in a couple of years. Montgomery, who I thought was going to be that capable guy, now he struggled the last couple of starts too. By the way, breaking news here from John Heyman: Michael Fulmer to the Minnesota Twins.
Ooh, look at the Twins going.
So the Twins now making some bullpen pieces.
I think that's
another guy that missed out on in the bullpen.
What'd you say, Anthony?
I think that was an excellent move.
Well, that's no,
because they need that middle. So Fulmer's a good setup, but you bring him down to 6-7 on to lock down and let 8 be locked down by Zell, and then you bring in the Orioles closer, who's actually doing very good. For that 9th, I think the Twins are making an interesting case to have a very strong bullpen push.
But they're not going to compete though for a win though.
No, I mean, I think they could definitely win the division.
It's questionable. That division is questionable.
That division is questionable, but to be honest, though, Correa's starting to get hot. Buxton's been hot.
Great, yeah.
No, you got the guys are going good, but to be honest, the biggest deal was that was taken away from the Twins was actually by the Yankees is Aisha. I think that was a big win for the Yankees, and that really stole the base away from the Twins, in my opinion.
So I will ask this question because I wanted to put it to an open forum for the 4 of you gentlemen.
Sure.
I will say, now that we are just about 15 and change minutes away from the deadline, I can say this since we'll probably be going over more trades as they come in. I will say, you don't have to, you can be specific if you'd like, but has your conception of what the playoffs are going to be changed in the last 24 to 48 hours because of this?
Meaning,
I'll start off.
Wait,
I thought.
What does that mean, Nick?
So,
meaning that in the beginning of the season, you thought the playoffs were going to go one way.
You mean based off the roster after the trade deadline?
Based off
of what's going on right now.
Yeah, based on everything we've seen in MLB, have your playoff picks changed?
Well, I'll tell you right now, and I know this is biased, the Yankees just made themselves like a hell of a lot better with all the pitching, and they got a bat, they got relievers. They should have their sights set high after the deadline.
I would say that I do agree with you, but I think not a lot of people are talking about the fact that the Astros just got Trey Mancini, and that's not nothing.
I wouldn't say that's
believe me.
That's
the Astros. You have to slay the dragon. So, like I said before, so it has to go through them. So everything you have to do, you have to laser focus on getting them and beating the absolute fuck out of them.
I wouldn't say it goes through them. I think that's a little unfair. But
that goes through Houston. It absolutely goes through Houston.
First of all, Houston hasn't won in the past couple of years. I mean, like
without cheating.
Well, I wasn't going to go there.
Not touch that.
I wasn't going to go there. But my point is, the one team, if
you don't count that,
the one thing I would say is the disappointment of the trade deadline is the Blue Jays. I would say them. I would say the Cardinals, and I would say the White Sox. All disappointments.
Okay, Johnny, what do you think?
Well, I don't think much has changed, Nick, because I think we're still talking about the Yankees and for the most part, we're talking about the Yankees and the Astros in the American League.
Whoa.
I see that look from Morgasen. Something just happened.
The Phillies just closed on Syndergaard.
Oh, are they getting him?
Oh,
They're close. They're close, according to Rosenthal. Yep.
What?
We are coming down to the wire, folks.
I don't think that's going to help them. But
so let's just look. So while we're still waiting for that deal to possibly happen here in the final 10 minutes, in the American League, the Yankees and the Astros were two of the favorites, and that still appears to be the case. In the National League, I think things have changed a little bit in the National League, Fodera, because now we're really talking about the Padres. And, they were a team that we were talked about, but they were also maybe possibly taking a step back because of the injury to Tatis in the offseason. So I think now the Padres are being talked about in the National League. The National League's a little bit more wide open today than it was, let's say, 2-3 days ago. In the American League, it's still the Yankees and the Astros. Now, the one thing you will have, though, is with the expanded playoffs, it's certainly possible that it could be more than that. Somebody could come in and do a bit and deal a surprise. So that's certainly the possibility. But I still believe in the American League, it's down to those two. And in the National League, now you're talking about the Padres. It's a little bit more wide open there.
All right. Anthony?
I find actually my thoughts have changed, actually. Right, the Padres were out, definitely, after I thought they were going to be in. And now I think they're going to be in again, but I think they're still going to come up short, to be honest. I think it's going to end up being Dodgers and Mets in that championship game. I think the lack of moves on the Braves is going to hurt them more. I think, to be honest, on the American League, the Twins got a lot more interesting. And something tells me that it's going to be interesting. Fact that the Astros got rid of Jacob Rizzi, who's been very solid except for like 2-3 starts on them. I think it's gonna be a fight. Though Tampa getting David Peralta and rebuilding a little bit and being competitive, you just can't count Tampa out, especially with McLaren having a huge year. I don't know. Something's interesting going. So I think that could be upset, but it might be a Yankee Astro championship. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa comes out of nowhere.
By the way,
what do I always say about the Rays? Never make a deal with them.
That's a good point, Hank. I didn't think about that.
What do I always say about them? Never make a deal.
So,
go ahead.
So Robert Murray just look. The Blue Jays made a small deal just now. The Blue Jays are acquiring right-hander Mitchell White from the Dodgers from minor league pitchers.
Mitchell, that's actually a solid move. I like Mitch White.
So I don't know. I guess you could say they made one move.
That's a little guy's starting position, and he held down a lot of guys pretty well with the Dodgers.
And Jeff Passan just said the Phillies are finalizing a deal to acquire Noah Syndergaard.
I think they got him.
Finally, I will pose my question to the Henry, the Hank, and the Holy Harry. Go ahead.
Henry, Hank, and the Holy Harry.
Let me just Hank, before you answer. According to Heyman, the deal's happening.
Yeah, Passan just said that too.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I think it's happening. So,
what about? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hank.
Before I lose my train of thought, Fodera, remind me your question again.
Have your playoff picks changed? Has the playoff picture changed based on what you've seen in the last 48 hours?
Okay, let me think back to what I said at the beginning of the season. So, obviously, I had the Yankees finishing. I think I had them in second place to Toronto. Obviously, I'm going to switch that around. But look, I'm fine with being wrong there.
Yeah, I'm the emperor of wrong, so yeah, go ahead.
But Fodera, what's one of my favorite phrases? Like, I would rather be wrong and happy than right and disappointed, which has been the case a lot of the times with all of my teams. Exactly. And second of all, so let's go to the Central. I had the White Sox win that one. Once they fired Tony La Russa, I'm definitely going to have to change that one.
Yeah, Tony La Russa looked like he was falling asleep in the dugout during the game the other day.
I think he was. He was. I'm going to say Minnesota wins that division at this point. I mean, you got Lopez from the Orioles. That was, I don't care who you gave up. That was pretty much a steal. And you got Carlos Correa, at least for this year, and you got a decent lineup there, and got one of my favorite Yankees, Gio Urshela, getting some big hits for them. The happy fella. Sorry, I love that John Sterling phrase. Yeah, I do. And as far as the AL West, well, the AL West I'm sticking with because I had the Astros winning that to begin with, and I had Seattle winning the set, finishing.
Wait, whoa. Hold the phone. Big Yankee move. Cardinals acquiring Jordan Montgomery from the Yankees. Ken Rosenthal.
Whoa!
Oh,
Whoa.
What? For who?
Wait.
the return
It's-
is not
Montgomery?
Return not yet known, but Ken Rosenthal just tweeted out Cardinals acquiring Jordan Montgomery from the Yankees.
What?
Wow, that's
Okay.
Wow!
so.
Hank, hey, I want to hear Hank first because Hank is usually on the Yankee train here.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh,
What?
wait. Here's the return. I think Tom just said Harrison Bader.
He's the
Harrison
outfielder.
Bader?
He's an
That's
outfielder.
not a bad. That's not necessarily a bad return. Bader's.
But why are you trading Montgomery for?
But
Looks
What?
Like it's
that's surprising.
Montgomery
like
was
it's a
very
1-for-1.
solid.
What?
It looks like it's a 1-for-1.
Wait a minute. It says Mark Feinstein just said Pablo Lopez will remain with the Marlins beyond the trade deadline. The Yankees were one of the teams that tried to deal for him, but the match wasn't there. Lopez is under club control through 2024. And according to Bob Nightingale, the Mets get Cubs veteran reliever Michael Givens.
Oh, Michael
All right,
Givens,
I'll take
former
that.
closer.
Good relief pitcher.
Another
all right.
exposure experience, so I like that.
Well, as Yankee fans, we know him because he used to close for the Orioles.
And
But-
he had those
So-
2 phenomenal years with the Orioles.
Harrison Bader, by the way, this year, 5 homers, 21 RBIs. But here's this interesting thing: 15 stolen bases.
I don't know. Maybe they're looking for a guy who can hit rather than for power. Maybe I don't know.
Well, I think he's I think you're going to see him really as like a pinch runner or something. Let's take a look at his numbers here.
Oh my God, Yankee Twitter is losing its mind right now.
I'm
Well,
losing my mind right now.
I'll tell you what. See, and the first thing I think about is, so I was talking earlier in the show about how I felt like Jordan Montgomery was like that second best pitcher on the team. He's shown that ability. You know, one of the things with the Yanks this year, he really has not had a lot of run support in a lot of his starts. So now, if you take a look at it now, so now it's going to be Cole, Montez, Cortez, Tyone, and
When you get Servino back,
Severino, but that's now not going to be till September. So maybe, as crazy as this sounds, I mean, maybe you're going to dip down and maybe look at Davy Garcia
probably yeah.
or Domingo Herman now.
I mean,
Now
well,
you-
no,
Now you can keep him.
you can't trust Herman to pitch the way he's been pitching.
Well, right now, this trade just shows you that. I mean, unless the Yankees,
But why did you get Hader after Ben Tenney?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a little confusing. to
And
me.
then you have Judge and Hicks, unless do you not trust Hicks anymore?
Maybe they want another steal
I think
threat.
I'll tell you, I'm looking at Bader's numbers this year, and I think you're going to see. I think he was brought in for his speed. He's got 15 stolen bases this year, which is tied for his career high. He's not really much of a hitter.
Wait a minute. So
He's a solid hitter.
He's not an on-base percentage guy. So, I mean,
Yeah, no.
it does give you options.
So
But-
Jeff Passan just described the Yankee situation with Harrison Bader. So he said the Yankees were talking about a number of starting pitchers and other team sources said, and Jordan Montgomery is the one who goes to St. Louis for center fielder Harrison Bader. Cardinals get another arm after Jose Quintana. And
Wait
the
a minute. Did Passon just say they got Lopez?
No.
No.
They are not.
They got Jose Quintana, and the Yankees get one of the best fielding center fielders in baseball, according to Passan.
So it's a defensive guy, and well, see, I'll tell you what this does is now you can move Judge back to right field and keep him there.
But Judge has been having a year beyond belief. Why would you want to move him?
By the way,
but Anthony, he's a right fielder that's been playing center field a lot because they've been trying to also put Stanton in the outfield a lot too.
well,
I'm just saying, just in general, he's been amazing.
Yeah,
By the way-
absolutely.
and by the way, we're about to hit the trade deadline in about a minute or so. But
Last
Bader,
minute predictions. For the
what?
Anybody got predictions for the last few trades?
I would like to
So,
see Andahar moved,
By
but
the way, fun fact: I was at Monty's last start.
Oh, wow.
Sunday.
I gotta tell you,
All right, so can we get some predictions though?
For what? What type of
like,
prediction?
like the last, what do you think is going to be the last trade? Like,
I think there's going to be more that are going to that's going to happen, but it's just not going to get announced right away.
Well, so here's the rules. Most people don't know the rules. So the framework has to be into the commissioner's office by 6 p.m. Eastern. It doesn't have to be completed. The framework has to be into the commissioner's office. So as long as it's into the commissioner's office, you can continue to work on trades past 6 p.m. So
Right.
you're going to see 10 to 15 trades probably come in after 6 p.m. At least.
okay, what's your big trade right now that's left? What do you think?
I still want to see Andahar go. I think that's.
By the way, Fodera.
Uh-oh.
I got to
Yeah.
finish up my
You might as well go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
because okay, AL West is staying as it is.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I had the Astros winning that one. You're not changing that one. I think I might have had the Mariners finishing in second. I can't remember, but I know I had the Astros finishing first. And at least, unfortunately, I might have to. I can't believe I'm saying this.
Well, can you hold that thought for 1 second?
Yes.
Whit Merrifield has just been traded,
Mark
Where?
Feinstein saying that. Yep.
but it doesn't say to who. But Feinstein said the Royals have traded Whit Merrifield.
Oh my
So stand
god.
by for that. And just Anthony, I like this move that the Mets just made for Michael Gibbons. So if you remember, he was in Baltimore with Buck Showalter. And he's pitching to a 2.66 ERA in 40 innings this year. So, good for the Mets. They got their reliever. So, you know what? The Mets got their reliever who can fit in the back end. They got some pieces with the lineup and
I
stuff.
think there's going to be one more reliever. I think Andrew Schaffner.
They've been talking about him, but I think you're gonna maybe that extra piece is gonna be Trevor May when he comes off the IL soon.
That's true too.
Well, just so we could say it, the deadline has officially passed. It
is
now.
6 o'clock, yep.
It's 6 o'clock, so now we're just waiting for the rest of the extra moves trickling. That is interesting, though, that Merrifield just got traded, though.
So Merrifield
Can
got
Hank
traded,
finish so we can
and then
go
just
on?
going back to Syndergaard for a second. The Angels are getting Mickey Moniak, who is a center fielder, and a minor league outfielder named I don't know if it's saying his name right, JDL or Yadiel Sanchez.
Yeah. By the way, Bob Nightingale just said the MLB trade deadline is over, but there will be plenty of trades coming down over the next 30 minutes to be announced. So that's why we're here until 6:30, so we can get from more.
6:30 and see what else happens. But
To be honest, I'm
Whoa!
can't stick.
Oh my God,
with
yeah.
answer.
Merrifield went to the Jays.
That's
Ooh.
and
interesting.
he's not vaccinated.
Holy crap! I didn't expect that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but
Minor leaguers.
Johnny just said he's not vaccinated.
I guess he's the Jays' American side piece.
That's horrible.
I did not expect the Jays. Wow, the Jays surprised us at the deadline.
You know what?
I mean, Whit Merrifield is a good player. He's a good player, but I mean,
I
They
like
were missing speed.
Hold on. I got to send.
So
I'm going to send
I
you
like
guys a Urinating Trees tweet about it.
Wait, we had him as a guest before on the podcast.
yeah,
He is amazing.
Oh, I love that guy.
I apologize. I misheard that. Who?
The guy we're talking about. You mean?
No,
we
Schlosser.
had the podcast. I didn't hear it.
His no trade clause. That is totally true. He would say something like that. Oh God.
So the one thing I like about Merrifield is he plays every day. I mean, last year he played all 162 games. Now this year he hasn't played every game because he wasn't vaccinated, so he missed the Toronto series. But I mean, you know what? He steals bases. I know he's kind of having a down year this year. He's only hitting 240, but
He's a really good player, though.
I like Merrifield a lot. He's also he can play multiple positions now. He's primarily a second baseman, but I've seen that he can play multiple positions.
Oh, he plays
Every day. In a sport where people don't play every day, I mean, he's one of those guys that plays every game. So, well, as we find out right now, I mean, it is 5 minutes after the hour, 5 minutes after the trade deadline. But as Nick was saying, we're going to get some more deals announced here. Hank, before we cut you off again,
Go ahead now.
No, actually, Hank, say that. No, Hank, keep
Walker.
going because you know what? When you go to the National League East and stuff, there's going to be another trade. So go ahead.
He's on the National League East now.
Well, then go to the Central. I'm
Well,
sorry.
okay. So before the season, you guys are gonna be shitting all over me for this. I had the Braves in first, I had the Phillies in second, and I had the Mets in third.
Oh,
That aged well.
Anthony's gonna be shitting all over you.
Dude.
I would have.
That-
I would have thought. I would have thought so. I'm glad to be wrong.
Yeah.
That aged as well as
I would
spoiled
put
milk.
Phillies down to third. I would have had Braves and Mets. First, to be honest.
Again, that aged as well as milk does.
Well, you know I'm the local Met fan for you guys, so
I know you guys. I know you're the diehard Met fan. Yeah. I think depending on what happens in the 5-game series against the Braves, I think they're winning that division. And I'm surprised that what's his name? Anthopoulos didn't make any big trades for Atlanta this time around, like he did last year when it helped them.
Yeah,
they're going to get.
I think trading Will Smith was a big mistake.
No, well, they're going to get Albies back off the IL, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, but I think trading Will Smith, that bullpen piece, was a big mistake.
Well, they have what's his name? It was on the Dodgers last year, closing, don't they?
Yeah, but Will Smith was this up man.
Why am I forgetting his name? What the one who had the issue?
Jansen, who
Yeah.
had a heart problem, and he's been on and off all year.
So the Cubs officially are not trading Contreras and Happ. That's off the table now. Are you surprised by that?
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
what
you
are
know
the?
what, to be honest, they were looking for a Soto-like trade, especially for a weird, similar. So it's not going to be Soto-like, but Contreras is a power hitter who is for a catcher. Plus, he's actually really good on defense. So it's very rare to have that combo. So
You know what's interesting? Also, we haven't heard anything from the Rangers, who have been playing like crap. That they didn't make any moves.
I
One
thought
name that
the
was,
Rangers would secure more pitching because that team, you put a little more pitching, it would have been a good team.
one name that was discussed with Texas was Matt Moore, and he will stay with Texas. Also, the Giants, just a couple of updates here. The Giants are hanging on to Carlos Rodon and Jock Peterson as they are still in the wild card hunt in the National League. So that's
Which
some updates.
I don't get that. I really don't get that.
Here's the thing, though. Would you think they will have traded both of them?
No.
Or, to me, I thought they could afford to trade one.
Wait a
But
minute.
and still stay
Well, see-
in the hunt.
Anthony,
Wait.
I think part of the problem is, and with something we've been documenting on this show today, the asking price for a lot of these guys has been through the roof. You know,
It was insane. And by the way, the Giants officially have not traded Rondon or Jock Peterson off the table. So
so they're staying put. Contreras and Happ.
I'm glad because Rodon going to anybody else would be very harsh.
So Contreras will get a qualifying offer likely in the offseason, and Ian Happ is under team control through next season. Just an update.
by the way, all the analysts are going crazy on the Cubs right now that they didn't make deals.
That's the first thing I think about, Nick, is I think their asking price was probably way too high. And I know since we've got Anthony here, I know Contreras was kind of linked to the Mets in terms of, people talking about him. I will say this. There's two reasons why I think Contreras to the Mets would not have worked.
Okay.
He's not good defensively. And also you're talking about the fact that now the pitchers are going to have to learn an entirely new catcher come the deadline.
I agree on the points, and that is the hardest thing to do. But on the same end, he's had his best defensive year this year, and his defense is actually up to be one of the in the top three this year. I think on the National League. I'm saying National League. Right, Salvi is probably the best of both, and I will say that now. I'm a Salvi fan. I would have loved them to get Salvi or Contreras, but.
Can I throw one name at you that I think might happen before 6:30? I could see JD Martinez ending up in Queens.
The two players I wanted on top of two relievers was JD Martinez and Wilson Contreras, or JD Martinez and Salvi Perez.
I'll tell you, JD Martinez, I think, is a great fit for the Mets, and maybe it still happens. Maybe they pull out an 11th inning move. You see Morgasen continuing to check there. Trust me, we're all checking here to see what happens. I've got MLB Network on the TV in the studio here, so there's going to be probably a couple more moves here before the 6:30. Before 6:30.
I think the Mets still get a lefty, and they don't need a catcher, but if they pulled out something for an interesting catcher, it has to be one of the bigger names.
Well, the problem, I don't know what other catcher really was out there. I mean, we saw Kurt Casale get dealt. But
Sandy Leone, I think, got dealt.
Yeah, he got dealt.
Christian Vasquez got dealt.
Yeah, that's another name, too.
That was shocking.
Well, I think it was shocking the way it happened, literally. I mean, we've seen that happen before, like players get traded in the same series. I mean, I think one of the more memorable ones was Ichiro with the Yanks.
Yep, you and I were thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I remember that was in Seattle.
Yeah,
so,
I'll never forget that. He just wait. Raciel Iglesias has been traded from the Angels to the Braves.
Oh, there's the big bullpen piece.
See, now I said I thought they did a mistake by getting rid of a good bullpen piece. They went and replaced him.
It also says part of the Yankee deal, by the way, there's going to be a PTBNL, player to be named later, going to the Yankees as well, on top of that.
Probably
yeah. This is crazy. I can't even.
I thought was going to do better this year.
Wait,
the Tigers was with their youth. Was going to be surprising this year. I just want that.
Another important stipulation to the Hosmer deal that just came out.
Uh-oh.
So San Diego is paying down the entire Hosmer contract going to Boston, $44 million.
Wow!
Really, the entire thing? Who did they get in for?
They got two prospects out of it.
But they gotta be somewhat solid prospects. Because if they're paying $44 million.
You're probably right. I don't know, but
in the Iglesias trade, the Angels are getting Jesse Chavez, who's a reliever, and Tucker Davidson.
They're also taking on the remainder of Iglesias' contract.
Tucker Davidson is the interesting piece of that one. He's going to be interesting to watch in the future. But Jesse Chavez, he's done. He's been around forever, and he's good. But he's not going to go too far.
Hey, Hank, can we go back to your comment about Alex Anthopoulos and say he actually made some moves?
Okay, I'll take that back. I should have known that's going to happen.
See, you ask and you receive.
Well, I also think I should have known better than to not give Alex Anthopoulos the benefit of the doubt because
it's okay. You wouldn't be the only one who didn't.
True.
He made all of us think he was not gonna have anything this year.
Why do you think he's not in Toronto anymore?
Oh, he kind of tore down Toronto.
Well, Toronto was going through a bad phase to the point where they weren't doing anything.
And yeah.
This is crazy, though. This has been an insane trade deadline.
Pete Abraham, who covers the Red Sox, says that JD Martinez is staying in Boston.
What?
Ooh.
What?
So that's from Mr. Abraham up there. So JD does not get.
They're only 3 games out, so Boston adds a pitcher.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. The Red Sox are a curious team because I think what they're thinking also is they could still contend next year too, or at least be a playoff team with the kind of roster they have.
So why didn't they keep Vasquez then?
Well, see, and I don't know. Unless, like you had said, I don't know if you said on the show or to me before we started that they may try and bring him back next year.
Well, right. There was speculation.
There have been players that did that before. Hey, you're gone, but we'll re-sign you next year.
Well,
wait a minute.
Aroldis Chapman with the Yankees.
Thank you. You see, you and I are thinking the same thing.
That's scary, but that's good.
But, that's how the whole Gleyber Torres thing happened with the Yankees, if everyone remembers.
Yep.
But about 15 more minutes or so, and then we'll get out of here. But this has been an insane deadline, to say the least.
The Blue Jays was got Merrifield for a second base outfield option, minor leaguer Samuel Teller, and right-handed pitcher Max Castillo.
So
And you would have to imagine now that he's going to get vaccinated. Otherwise, why would he go to Toronto?
Yeah,
Unless if he already got it or after a bit.
And
By the way, fun fact: Harrison Bader is originally from a town where my dad used to live, Bronxville.
right, Bronxville. Yeah.
Oh, you have fun fact. Stony Brook is right here, and Janskowski went to Stony Brook University, and holds the records of baseball now, than Joe Nathan.
The thing that doesn't make goddamn sense to me is the man's in a walking boot.
Well, right.
How are you going to trade away? How are you going to trade away a starter for somebody you're not going to get a corresponding move back for?
So that's what the player to be named later stipulation was added, that if he doesn't come back, they get another player for this year, regardless.
But what are you going to do for the next 2 months of the season? Otherwise, if you're going to stick with Domingo Germán, which you shouldn't, or you're going to bring Clark Schmidt back up and have him fulfill his destiny as him being a starter.
I guess. By the way, Anthony DeComo, who covers the Mets. The Mets did not make any additional trades before the deadline, so they're done.
All right. I mean, I think. Well, they got a reliever. They've gotten some other pieces in the lineup. I mean, it's not a big time bat.
Don't need it.
I think I think they're going to be all right. I think the thing.
They rounded out the bench.
Anthony, you know what's? I'm sorry, just real quick. I think next weekend for the Mets might actually decide what's going on here because they got a huge 5-game set against Atlanta.
But not only that, they have a 5-game set against Atlanta. They have a series against Marlins, and then it's Atlanta again.
Yeah, so
and then they're not seeing Atlanta until middle of September. So these 8 games against Atlanta, gonna say it all.
It'd be very, it could swing. It could. I mean, I know it's still early August, but it could make a swing in that NL East for sure.
8 games.
By the way, Joel Sherman put out an interesting tweet for the offseason to think about. So I guess we can now open the offseason trade market. Shohei Ohtani, Pablo Lopez, Ian Happ just moved from of interest now to interest then.
Ooh, you know what?
Possibly.
Well, that's possible.
Can we? Go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
I mean, almost similar to Soto, though. Don't you think that they could have gotten more for him during the deadline?
I don't think so. To be honest with you, they could have gotten about Soto-like, but I think it's gonna take a lot more because for the Angels, they're gonna want more major league pieces back than the top prospects. So they may take 2-3 top prospects, but they want like a few solid players that are major league caliber back.
The one I'm still not understanding. Why is Andahar still a Yankee? Why?
I don't know. I literally can't tell you.
What did you say, Hank?
Should have been traded a few years ago.
I mean, they're going to lose in the free agency. That's it. That's what's going to happen.
In hindsight, I'm going to say this now.
That's hindsight,
yeah, you should have done it a few years ago.
Then.
What did you say?
That's not hindsight. I felt that way back then.
Okay.
Right. Makes sense.
I can't say anything then.
Go back.
They might be picked up by the Orioles and become a good DH.
Let me just go back to Raciel Iglesias for a second.
Yeah.
Last winter, the Angels signed him to a 4-year, $58 million contract. And Atlanta split up the entire contract still. He's still owed $48 million after this season because he's getting 10 this year and 16 for 23, 24, and 25.
And by the way, and most people don't know this too, all this has to be approved by the commissioner's office. Anything over $1 million that goes through in trade value. So that's why it takes, for most people to say, why isn't the deadline over? Well, everything has to be approved over $1 million. So
put that graphic on the bottom.
Oh, well, you have to give me a second here.
Anthony, I don't know if you know about this, but there's been a graphic that we've been using not only on our show, Game On, but also on Empty the Bench. And it involves one certain guy. There he is.
There you go.
Know what? To be honest, this makes me kind of excited to see how the new playoffs play out now, because not only these moves, but you got some teams that now that are making it a little more interesting now.
That's fair. I guess we'll have to see when the playoffs start how I feel about it. I'm still on the fence. I'm still not a fan about the expanded playoffs.
I'm not either.
I'm not on the fence until it happens, but I'm saying it becomes more interesting.
That's fair. You know what? I will give you that, because you know what? Now September rolls around and you see teams that are pretty close and you got multiple ones. It does make the September races pretty fun. And you know what? We're going to have relevant baseball in New York in September for both teams. And I think that's really all you can really
we are. And you know what? That has to be the takeaway from today. If we are going to wrap this, if we are going to at least sum this up.
And I'll tell you what's really crazy too. The Yankees are going to be playing relevant baseball in September because they're going to be playing for the best record in the American in the sport. Because you know what? That's the thing we have to realize too. And you talk about the Yankees and the Astros with the moves that they've made. One of the reasons why I think the Yankees had to go out and make these moves too. Hank and I spoke about it last week on our show. The Yankees have to have home field advantage in the playoffs. You do not want to be going through Houston at Minute Maid Park in the ALCS and having to play game 6 and 7 on the road.
All right. Look, can I address that for a second? You're going to have to win a game in Houston.
Yeah, you have to win a game in Houston.
One way or another, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but wouldn't you want it to be just one?
No, but Nick, this whole crap that Yankee fans are bringing up that you have to have home field advantage, the only way you're going to win. You're going to have to win a game in Houston. You can't win the series unless you win a game.
But you're working under the assumption, they're working under the assumption that the Astros are going to push it to 6-7 games.
Right,
and if
but
that's the case, wouldn't you rather have games 6 and 7 in the Bronx? I know I would.
right, but
stopped them in 2017.
That's not my point. My point is these Yankee fans have perception that if they have the home field advantage, they're not going to have to win a game in Houston. You're going to have to win a game in Houston.
Can I put out two predictions here?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say that I think the league championship series are going to go 7 games each.
Yeah, but who do you?
I think
That's fair. That's a fair prediction.
And I think I'm going to say this because I'm a New Yorker. And I think if you're going to ever have a real Subway series, is that it's like 2000. You're going. This is the year, and I think this is going to be the year for a good Subway series.
Hey, I would love that, but
It's not going to happen.
By the way, let me go back to Bader for a second in this, and it's actually what I was also thinking about when the Yanks got him. The Yankees began today leading the majors in defensive runs saved, and in that stat, their biggest negative area was in center field. It was a -6, and so Bader won a Gold Glove in center field last year. And what that also does is, like I said, now that shifts Judge over to right.
But wait a minute. Hasn't Judge made some amazing plays? He robbed a home run last week.
Well, Judge is also almost 7 foot tall.
But wait a minute. But he's been a really good defensive center fielder, though.
But don't you also want to save his legs, though? Because, I mean,
I get that. Yeah.
And I think it's one of the reasons the Yanks have been so successful this year is they've been healthy because as much as I've criticized that their makeup of the roster, actually the makeup of the roster is what's helping them stay healthy because they've been able to, put guys at more guys at the DH spot. They've got DJ LeMay who's been able to play 3 possessions this year. So they haven't really had many injury bugs outside of one minor stint for Donaldson and a couple of stints now for Stanton.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Right. The Yankees, I'm seeing this year, has one thing that they haven't had big time in a long time. Has flexibility on the starting lineup. They never really had more than maybe 1 or 2 guys with flexibility to maneuver, play different positions. And not only that, they are just, you got a full healthy, and by maneuvering the DH, by saying late inning, move over to right field for Judge, put someone else in center field, stuff like that. That saves legs, that saves energy, and that allows just things to be healthy. But That's the same thing with the Mets. That's the same thing with the Dodgers. That's the same thing now with the Padres. Notice they're all being flexible, and these are the teams that are going far.
I guess now your biggest question mark now with the Yankees here as we kind of wrap things up here. Now trading Montgomery away. Now the back end of that rotation until Severino comes back in mid-September now is going to be a little bit of a concern now because like we said, Cortez now, I mean, you can back him up now, but, you've got him and now you're going to have Herman unless, you want to go down the road and bring up like a Davy Garcia, whose name is just like falling off the radar here. Because it probably would have been Luis Heel, but now obviously he had Tommy John surgery this year, so he's out of the picture for probably all of next year too.
I just want to explain one more thing as well. Because the way the rules are this year, there's no waivers once the deadline has passed. So you had to get all your moves in by the 6 p.m. trade deadline because there's no waiver trades this year.
Yeah, I think you could also make moves that don't involve 40-man roster players, though. I think that's I'm trying to remember. I think that was last year. I don't remember that's this year. I know there was just the one deadline, and it was obviously normally it's July 31st, but because of the lockout, we pushed it back here to August 2nd. So
actually, Anthony, let me throw something at you because Anthony DiComo just said something interesting for the Mets.
Okay.
The most surprising part of the deadline for the Mets was their lack of a lefty reliever acquisition.
I'm going to agree that we needed lefty. We had a Joey Rodriguez is just solid, solid pitcher. Jason Sariv was solid, but we had to send him down. We have flexibility of it, but I wanted to lock it down with lefty. So that's the one thing I'm more disappointed in this trade deadline for the Mets. But the fact that they went outside the box and rounded out the matchups and the defensiveness of that bench, and then bring in Givens, who's having a major year, and his other big years with Baltimore was under Buck himself. I'm happy with it. I think it's going to be interesting, and I'll leave it there. I think we'll see how things play out this weekend and the weekend after, because after that we know where the National League East really stands.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Though I wanted to go back quickly and point out something about the Yankees over the last 2 years that has kind of surprised me. And I'm thinking Brian Cashman might surprise me again. As a lot of the starters that came up from the minors that was not the big name prospects actually contributed very well, in tough tight positions. I wonder if he thinks he's got 2 or 3 down in the minors that he could rotate up to hold over until Severino comes back. And he's caught lightning a few times over the last few years like that. I wonder if he could do it again.
All right, so let's finish on this note since we have about 2 minutes left. MLB trade deadline grades. So looking at if each one could pick a few teams and say what grades you would give. Obviously, we'll pick the Yankees and the Mets because that's our 2 teams here. So let's start with those. Yankee grade, Met grade. Hank, you want to start? What would you give the grades on each of those teams?
I'm going to give the Yankees an A- just for the sheer fact that, again, they filled some needs, but the Monty for Bader trade kind of ruins the deadline for me.
That makes sense. And what do you think about the Mets?
I am going to give them a solid B. I don't think they necessarily made game-changing moves that would put them over the top, although I still think they're probably the better team than the Atlanta Braves, assuming everybody stays healthy and assuming everything goes right. That being said, they could have done better, I thought.
All right. Anthony, resident Met fan here. Mets grade first.
I'm going to say B plus. They really needed lefty, and I think instead of Ruff, I would have taken JD. But I like the way that they rounded out, and knowing that it's that chemistry that they've been playing. They get the same guys with the same mindset. So I say B plus. I think they did a solid job.
And the Yankees?
Again, B plus. I think Montgomery kind of dropped it from an A or from me to a B plus. They filled their needs, but to lose that back end starter when you really needed it, I'd rather suffer a little bit in some field with Judge still.
All right, Johnny, Yankee grade?
I'm giving the Yankees an A. I look. Let's be honest here. There were three needs that the Yankees needed to heading into this deadline. They needed a number 2 starter. They got that. They needed a relief pitcher. They got 2 of them. They needed a contact lefty bat. They got it, and they didn't trade any of their big time prospects to do it. And I'll say this: the Montgomery for Bader trade. Bader is going to help them out defensively, even if he's not a starter. If he comes as a late inning defensive replacement, I think that helps the Yankees out too. Yeah, it's a bit of a concern that now Monty's gone, but I still think this team is good enough, so I think I'm going to give them an A. For the Mets, I'm going hot. I'm going to give the Mets a B. And by the way, I'm looking on Twitter and I'm seeing my Met friends giving them a D. I'm like, guys, first of all,
Come on.
Look, would you have liked a power bat? Absolutely. But you know what? Again, this team is. Look at the roster they have right now and what they've been able to do. And they're getting Jacob deGrom back tonight, which, he hasn't pitched since July 7th of last year. They're going to get James McCann back. They're going to get Trevor May back. So they're doing this with the guys they have right now. And just remember one thing. This is not Mickey Callaway managing them. This is not Luis Rojas. This is Buck Showalter. So I think the Mets are going to be fine. And I've said this before, Anthony, and I'll say this again. If the Braves win the NL East, it'll not be because the Mets have collapsed. It'll be because the Braves are that good. And I still think that's certainly possible. Would I like the Mets to get their big-time bat? Yes. Would I like to get them multiple relievers? Yes. But I think considering the roster that they have right now, I still think it's good enough that they'll at least get into a wild card position. So I'm giving them a B.
All right, Nick, Yankee grade first. What do you got?
I gotta go with a solid. I gotta go with agree with Anthony. I think it's a solid B plus, because you know what? It's just the fact that you traded away a dependable fifth starter for somebody who won't even be playing until September. You know what? I could be very, very, very wrong about that. He could be a great move, especially seeing as how fast he is. But you know what? I need to see the fact that you didn't back this up means you're putting a lot more faith into your guys that are shuffling in between AAA than I think they should. Other than that, everything else was aces because they filled all the needs, all the needs they had to get. They got. As far as the Mets go, I'm willing to give them. I say it's a solid B. It's a solid B plus too. Because again, they're playing to their strengths, and they're betting on the guys that they have are going to come back and they're going to be good. And you know what? I can't fault them for that.
All right, and I'll finish it up here just because we're running out on time. The Yankees, I would give an A minus in similar aspect, like Hank said, because they pretty much nailed all the moves they need. They got Benintendi. I don't think Soto was the right fit. I think Benintendi gives them the right fit that they need for hitting and for average. I like Efros because of the club control through 2028. I think that's a big move. I like the pitching that they went after. I like Montez, who's under control, that word again, until next season, I think. So they have him under control, and I think they'd be able to sign him back if he pitches well there. When I look at the Mets, don't kill me, Anthony, I would give them a C because I don't think they got the power bat. And
you don't need the power bat with how that's constructed.
Wait a minute. Lineup. Wait. I didn't say it necessarily had to be home runs. I'm talking about in general of driving in the runs and being able to put the ball into the outfield and driving doubles. They don't have that, okay? Lindor does it. Alonso does it. Who else does it on that offensive roster?
Kana.
I feel like they could have done better on the pitching front, too. The Mets, they could have gotten a lefty reliever. They could have gotten another starter. And like
another starter.
And like Johnny said, Jacob deGrom is a wild card at best. Okay, you don't know what the heck you're going to get out of Jacob deGrom at this point. He could get hurt again and start coming back and be out for the rest of the season again. Okay, so sorry, I give them a C. I give the Yankees an A-, and that's kind of where I see it.
Yeah, and I would say also one thing for the Mets to also notice here: the Braves got Iglesias, Odorizzi, Grossman, and more, and the Phillies got Syndergaard, Brandon Marsh, and David Robertson.
That's a problem.
The NL East right now is a beast. That's something to keep an eye on. And also one thing with the Yanks too, I forgot to mention too, and this is why it should be an A+, if anything. They traded Joey Gallo and got a player back for Joey Gallo.
A top 15 prospect.
I don't care that top 15 prospect doesn't make it out of high A ball. They were able to trade.
The next two.
But
the next two teams.
You know what? NL East is going to be very, very interesting this year. That's for sure. And you know what? Now it got even a lot more interesting.
I'm going to say this. I think the Phillies, you did great. They did great game starting pitching, but if that outfield defense and that infield defense can't hold, it really doesn't matter.
Wait a minute.
The starting pitching you get.
And remember, Bryce Harper's coming back soon too.
And the Braves are getting Albies back.
No. That I'm more afraid of Albies coming back. And on Jake, instead of them getting Jake Odorizzi, Albies and Iglesias to the Braves. I'm more worried about that than what the Phillies did.
Well, all right. We've been on here for over 2 hours. We covered the deadline. A lot of interesting moves. Just some programming notes so everyone knows. Excuse me, if I can keep my voice from dying. All the shows coming up. Obviously, Game On didn't happen today because we did our MLB Trade Deadline Special. They'll be back Tuesday at 3. Empty the Bench will be on tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have a new show, MMA Outsiders, which is starting tomorrow. That'll debut 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. If you're a UFC MMA fan, please go check it out. Am I missing anything or no?
Nope. I think you got it.
Just follow the network at ETB Network. Follow Empty the Bench at ETB Sports. Follow Game On at Game On ETB. I think I'm social media'd out at this point.
And on Game On, we will have some Monty moments this week too. So we'll bring those back. And then, of course, Hank and I will be back next week. And I think we have a couple of things to talk about going into next week. So I think
quite a bit of things.
Quite a bit.
Including
we're just trying to talk to you all.
And including some NFL, which we're finally going to get to talk about, hopefully soon. No, I'm not wishing the summer away, Johnny.
No, yes, we are. Yes, we are. I'm ready.
Yeah, we are.
We got football on Thursday. We got college football this month. It's back, baby.
It's from Thursday Night Football.
Listen, all I care about is that Subway Series was in the World Series. So let's make that happen, everybody.
We do have another installment of the Subway Series this month too. So
you just want to gloat because the Mets won both games. Okay.
Listen,
wait till you go to the Bronx.
3 years.
Yeah.
The Mets and Yankees have split. So I think this year the Mets may go for the sweep.
Oh, stop it! In the Bronx.
Let him have it.
Let
him hold on to that moment.
I'm against 4 Yankee boys here. Come on.
Oh, by the way,
let him hold on to that.
Wait, Hank, go ahead.
There's only one way you can ask me to maybe wish the summer away.
Oh boy, what's?
Yeah.
Yes!
I know.
I forgot. That's
there it is. That's the Game On rally towel wave right there. I love it.
Can we make rally towels?
Wait, how many days are we from hockey season again? I know I'm wishing it forward. But...
about 70, but who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting, right? All right. I think we made it to the end of this Empty the Bench Podcast Network MLB Trade Deadline Special. If you go check out our social media pages, you will see a lot of reactions and stuff, and actually you'll get some clips from this as well on both show pages, so make sure you look out for that as well. But for Johnny Montalbano, for Nick Fodera, for Hank Indictor, for Anthony Mara, well, being a Met fan. Anyway, that'll do it. We will see you for another special when we come back, and I guess we'll just say goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
DeGrom dominate. See ya.
You are horrible. Oh, my God.
Excuse me.